Thank you for watching this short video. Again, it's a soul reflection, an invitation to the heart to reflect upon the meaning of the word modern day prophet. What is a modern day prophet? How do you recognize a modern day prophet? Do you need to go to college, university, and get grades to become a prophet of God? My understanding of prophet may not be your understanding, so I ask you to bear with me because I'm sharing with you from my heart. And I'm coming to you with a blank canvas. And as I look into the camera, I'm inviting my God to send the Spirit of truth to my heart, so that together we can both understand a new interpretation of what a modern day prophet is and what they do. But first, I would like to share with you a quote from a wonderful book that I've had for a number of years called Sharing the Darkness, the Spirituality of Caring. A book that was given to me as a gift, as a thank you from my dear friend Brother Eddie, who died of cancer age 42 back in 1996. And in the book he said, "Sean, thank you for sharing my darkness. God keep you always, Eddie." June 1993. This has been a wonderful book for me. In fact, it's been my Bible as a palliative care nurse specialist for a number of years. It's allowed me enter a relationship with God and also to walk alongside my brothers and sisters, those patients that were guided to us, for spiritual support and comfort at the end of their journey. So I come to this with experience as a nurse who spent 12 years on night duty, sat by the bedside of many dying patients, and I can assure you, no two deaths were the same. Each had its own challenges. But one thing I do know, that at the end of 12 years, having stepped out of my comfort zone, there was very little more of me to give. And my health suffered because I took the role seriously. I wasn't your traditional nurse that hid behind the uniform. I tried to step out in love. And I tried, though I failed miserably, to see the crucified Christ in the individual who was fighting for their life, who was in intractable pain. But in this wonderful little book, Dr. Sheila Cassidy says this. She talks about the role of prophet, and it's interesting. And she says, in a consideration of the prophetic role of the hospice movement, it is important to be clear on the meaning of the word prophet, for it is often misused and therefore misunderstood. Frederick Buechner, the American author of pithy little book of theological definitions called Wishful Thinking, writes, "Prophet means spokesman, not fortune teller. The one whom, in their unfathomable audacity, the prophet claimed to speak for was the Lord and Creator of the universe. There is no evidence to suggest that anyone ever asked a prophet home for supper more than once." Interesting. Prophets then are individuals or groups of people who are called both to listen and to speak out. They must listen to God, to the signs of the times, and to the cries of the oppressed. And when they have understood the message, speak out, whatever the personal cost. Prophets are no holier than anyone else. They are frequently very wounded people. But like Jeremiah or Isaiah, they put their woundedness at the service of God. When they hear the voice which says, "Whom shall I send? Who will be our messenger?" To their horror, they find themselves answering, "Here I am, send me," a favorite quote from Isaiah chapter 6, verse 8. Christians are familiar with the prophetic books of the Old Testament and more poetic passages of Isaiah, Jeremiah, Amos, and Hosea, are declaimed from many a cultured pulpit. It is easy to domesticate the prophets in the same way that we tame the gospel, and lose sight of how threatening what they said must have been to those who heard it. It cannot have been easy for Amos to pass this message from God on his people. And here we go. Trouble for those who are waiting so longingly for the day of Yahweh. I hate and despise your feasts. I take no pleasure in your solemn festivals, when you offer me holocausts. I reject your oblations and refuse to look at your sacrifices of fattened cattle. Let me have no more of the din of your chanting, no more your strumming on harps, but let justice flow like a water and integrity like an unfailing stream. And there I'm going to close that and speak from the heart. A modern day prophet. Well, I wouldn't say I was a prophet. Would you? No. But I have been challenged many times in my spiritual path. The first when I was a young novice back in '67 in the novitiate in Ireland, when I was training to be a nursing monk. It came to the feast of Mary Magdalena, and of course the priest that we had, the chaplain, he was thumping and banging on about fallen woman, and Magdalena was a slut, a prostitute, a whore. Forgive me for the language. But I immediately reacted and said no, she wasn't. I'd no proof. But I knew that Magdalena was a good woman, the beloved of Jesus. And years later, the church repented and said to its people in Ireland, I remember this, they got the wrong Mary. Well, there were only 3 Marys mentioned. Mary, the wife of Cleophas, Mary, the mother of Jesus, and Mary Magdalena, so which one was the prostitute? I rest my case. To be a prophet today, first you have to be a people of prayer. You have to take the words of Teresa of Avila sincerely to your heart. You have to enter your interior castle. And you have to come before the Source, the Supreme, the God of love, and surrender your heart. And that is where many fall down, because there's a battle of wills. Oh, if I surrender my heart, I lose control of my life. What a load of poppycock. Surrendering your heart means you are trusting in the divine to take care of you. You are entering a partnership of sustainability that's rooted in divine love. A prophet is one who surrenders their heart in trust to God and who waits patiently for God to guide them and speak through them. But when the Holy Father came here to the UK, I was not happy because I knew what the Holy Father had done when he shut down Assisi in 2006 for interfaith dialogue. So I wrote to Vincent Nichols, and he was quite unkind in his reply, and he said the Holy Father endorses interfaith. But clearly that's not true, because as I explained in a previous video, in 2011, when 300 delegates gathered in Assisi with Pope Benedict, he refused to pray with them as a group. He left a set of directives for them to go off and do their own thing. So God uses ordinary people to speak God's truth and challenge the religious leaders of our world and the politicians to act honorably and do just things. But we cannot say that we speak for God if we're condoning and condemning. We have to speak our truth, and the modern day prophet is one who represents truth and integrity without fear. But trust me, there is a price to pay for being a prophet.